Your life isn't a mess because of your circumstances. It's because you surrender too easily. You avoid pressure, but expect strength. You complain about challenges, but live like the world owes you comfort. You wait for luck, but you won't face the real pain of growth. That's not adversity, that's weakness. Stress makes you panic because you've never learned to endure it. One failure hits, and you blame the world, your parents, the system, anything but yourself. This video isn't for people looking to be comforted. It's for men who are sick of the shadow they've become. You're about to hear truths that aren't easy to swallow. But if there's still some fire left in you, if you still want to take back control of your fate, then don't skip this. These are 10 Stoic perspectives that may hurt, but they'll show you how to live like a man. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're new here. It helps me keep bringing you more valuable content. Most men today react to pressure like children: panic, blame, collapse. One piece of criticism, one small failure, one shake in life, and they start doubting themselves, chasing comfort, addicted to approval. They don't understand a basic truth. Pressure isn't the enemy, it's the test that determines if you deserve respect. Weak men fear stress because they've never trained their minds. They were raised in a society that spoon-fed them the lie, "You are enough," when the reality is, they've never been enough. Not disciplined enough, not mentally tough enough, not deep enough to face life head-on. A Stoic doesn't seek an easy life. He doesn't avoid hardship. He doesn't wait for the perfect conditions to do the right thing. Because he knows, the more uncomfortable something is, the more it's worth doing. Just like diamonds are formed under millions of years of crushing pressure, character is forged in struggle. If you're constantly trying to de-stress, avoid conflict, dodge pain, you're trading growth for temporary comfort. And you'll pay with a forgettable life no one will remember. Stress reveals who you really are. When life's smooth, everyone's kind, everyone's patient, everyone's working on themselves. But when it all breaks, money gone, relationships falling apart, health crashing, that's when we see what you're made of. So don't curse adversity. Use it. It's your training ground, your test, your proving stage. Epictetus said, "Don't wish life were easier, wish you were stronger." And you get stronger by willingly stepping into the fire. So what should you do? First, change your mindset. Stop seeing stress as a sign of failure. See it as an invitation. Every time you feel anxious, overwhelmed, or angry, ask yourself, what is this moment trying to train in me? Maybe it's calm, maybe decisiveness, maybe patience. But one thing's certain, it's a test made for you, no one else. Second, practice facing discomfort on purpose. Force yourself into controlled hardship. Cold showers, intermittent fasting, training to your limit, having hard conversations with people who make your skin crawl. That's not self-punishment, it's how you build mental muscle. If you can face small daily discomforts without collapsing, you'll build the backbone to face real chaos without falling apart. Finally, track your growth. Don't just count results, count your reactions. How much pressure did you handle this week without blaming anyone? How many times did you want to quit but kept going? How many moments did you choose silence over outburst? These are the signs of real growth. Quiet, unsexy, but powerful and priceless. Weak men run from pressure. Stoics use it to forge steel in the mind. If you can't take the heat, stop dreaming about being a game changer. You don't need to avoid stress. You need to learn how to turn it into fuel. And if you truly want to rise above every obstacle, then here's your first lesson. Don't fear pressure. Step into it and become something far more dangerous than it. Here's a hard truth to swallow. You're losing your life, hour by hour, minute by minute, simply because you can't fully live in the present. You're trapped between two timelines, regret for the past and fear of the future. You can't change the past. The future hasn't arrived. So how are you living? Like a ghost, physically present but mentally drifting elsewhere. And then you wonder why you feel empty, lost, unmotivated. A man who doesn't control the present doesn't control anything. You can read hundreds of books, binge thousands of motivational videos, but if your mind constantly slips away from the moment in front of you, nothing will ever change. You don't need more knowledge. You need presence. And that's exactly why Stoicism places mindfulness, complete attention to the now, as one of the most fundamental pillars of resilience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't allow yourself to be distracted. Don't be pulled away by what is past or what is yet to come. Live fully in this moment. That is enough." But you're not doing that. You let your mind run wild. You overthink, you assume, you create disaster scenarios in your head and then live like they've already happened, and you call that thinking ahead? No, that's mental self-poisoning. The solution is crystal clear. Train mindfulness like a skill, not some vague idea. Every day, take exactly 5 minutes, no more, no less, just to breathe and observe. No phone, no music, no agenda, just presence. Close your eyes, inhale, exhale, and pay attention to the air moving through your body. If your mind drifts, that's fine. Gently bring it back. The more distracted you are, the more reason you have to practice. Next, begin to anchor your mind to action. When eating, just eat. When walking, just walk. When talking to someone, look them in the eye and truly listen. You'll notice something. The world becomes more alive, and you gain control over your reactions. Less anger, less anxiety, more decisiveness, sharper focus, deeper clarity. Finally, write it down each night. Where today did I drift away from the moment? Track the times when the past dragged you down, the moments when the future made you spiral. Every sentence is a wake-up call. Every reflection is a step out of the maze your mind keeps creating. No one becomes mindful by accident. The mindful man trains like a warrior sharpening his blade. Don't confuse presence with relaxation. This isn't some soft, take a deep breath and love life routine. This is the foundation that lets you make clear decisions, handle stress, and stay unfazed by the nonsense around you. A man who doesn't control his attention will be manipulated by the world. And you can't dominate any challenge if you're not fully present in the moment it hits you. You don't need to slow down. You need to show up. Not to enjoy life like a tourist, but to seize it like a warrior. And warriors don't fantasize about the past. They don't fear the future. They know the only moment they can strike is now. You don't hate change. You just hate the feeling of losing control. When things don't go as planned, you panic, you resist, you cling to the past like a heartbroken fool holding on to a relationship that's already dead. You call change risky, difficult, bad timing, but in truth, it's just reality you don't want to face. You've lived too long in a bubble of false stability, so now even the slightest gust of wind shakes you. Change isn't what breaks you. What breaks you is an undisciplined mind that can't adapt. The Stoic understands one fundamental principle. Change is not the exception, it's the rule. The universe moves through chaos. Everything flows. No one steps into the same river twice. If you refuse to change, you're not staying still, you're falling behind. Because life doesn't wait. It moves on with or without you. You lose your job, you panic. The Stoic responds, "Good, time to try something new." You get betrayed, it hurts. The Stoic says, "Good, now I see people more clearly." You fail hard, you shut down. The Stoic shrugs, "Good, more data for next time." They're not numb, they're not emotionless. They've just trained themselves not to be slaves to emotions, because they expect change, and they don't attach their worth to what they own, but to how they respond. So what should you do? First, stop labeling change as the enemy. Look back at your life. Weren't your biggest breakthroughs born from disruption? No one matures in comfort. Growth comes with chaos. Pain is the process of restructuring. Either you endure it and evolve, or avoid it and rot from the inside out. Second, master your response instead of trying to control the circumstances. Average people fight to bend the world to their will. The Stoic asks, "Do I control this?" If yes, act. If not, let it go and channel your energy into what you do control. Your attitude, your response, your next move. The storm won't stop because you cry, but you can learn to stand tall in the storm. Here's a concrete move. Every day, do one small thing differently. Take a new route to work. Use your non-dominant hand. Try something that makes you uncomfortable. It's not about gimmicks, it's about rewiring your brain to recognize change as safe, necessary, and normal. You don't wait for a crisis to train your response. You train for it daily in the small stuff. Finally, commit to the Stoic visualization. Amor Fati, love your fate. Every morning, imagine your life changing. Imagine losing something you value, your job, your money, someone you love. Not to torture yourself, but to prepare and to appreciate. When you've pictured the loss, you won't panic when it hits. You'll be calm. You'll be grounded. You'll act like a man who's been through it before, not someone who breaks at the first blow. You can't control change, but how you respond to it, that's the test. A wise man isn't someone who always wins. He's the one who rises the right way every time life rewrites the rules. Not everyone has the patience to watch until the end, but those who do are always the ones who go further than the rest. If you're one of them, subscribe and like, we're on the same team. You can have intelligence, looks, and status. But if a single insult can make you lose your temper, if one rejection is enough to break you, then everything you possess is nothing more than makeup on a weak soul. You're a slave to your emotions, and no one respects a slave. Men today are told they should open up more, allow themselves to be vulnerable, respect their feelings. Sounds noble, but in truth, it's glorified surrender. Emotions are not to be worshipped. They are to be managed. The Stoics didn't deny emotion, they just refused to let it drive their lives. You get angry, you say something stupid, you're sad, you destroy a relationship, you worry, you're paralyzed, and then you excuse it with, "I'm only human." True, but humans have reason, and you discard it every time emotion takes over. Epictetus once said, "It's not events that disturb you, but your interpretation of them." The problem isn't the outside world. The problem is how you see and respond to it. Emotional strength doesn't mean having no emotions. It means seeing them clearly and not getting dragged by them. So where does emotional strength begin? First, recognition. Don't react instantly. When emotion rises, don't act. Stop. Observe. Name it. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. Naming it pulls it out of instinct and into a space where it can be analyzed. That's the first step in taking back control. Second, objectify. Detach yourself from the story. Imagine that feeling is happening to someone else. If a friend told you what you're thinking now, what advice would you give him? That outside perspective helps break the loop of me, victim, emotion, reaction. You are not your emotions. You're the one witnessing them. Third, daily practice through reflection. Every night, write down, what emotion dominated me today? How did I react? What could I have done better? Writing turns chaos into data. Reflection is the harshest gym, where you stare down your dumbest reactions and start becoming dangerous in a disciplined way. Fourth, deliberately face discomfort. Emotions don't get stronger through theory. They get stronger when you push yourself through small hardships. Waiting without snapping, enduring physical pain without whining, staying calm while talking to someone you dislike. Every one of those moments is another brick in the fortress inside you, one no one can tear down. If you don't control your emotions, someone else will control you through them. Fear, they'll use it to manipulate you. Anger, they'll bait you with offense. Sadness, they'll exploit you with sweet words. A man who hasn't trained his emotional core is an easy-to-read, easy-to-manipulate machine. You want real strength? It's not about lifting heavier weights. It's about not lashing out when insulted, not groveling when abandoned, not whining when you fail. That's the real pinnacle of strength, and no one gives it to you. You earn it, every day, in silence, with unbreakable discipline. Take a real look at your life. Look hard. How many times have you sabotaged yourself simply because you couldn't control your impulses? How many opportunities have you lost because you acted on raw emotion? How many relationships have crumbled because you said what shouldn't have been said? How many years have you wasted choosing comfort over what's right? And then you blame your circumstances, your luck, the external obstacles. But the truth is this, you can't even control yourself. It's not the world pushing you down, it's you letting yourself slide every single day. The Stoics understood something deep. Freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from knowing what must be done and having the discipline to do it. A man who lacks self-control is a man ruled by emotion, desire, and impulse. He has no future, only instinct and drift. You don't need more motivation, you need control. Control over the smallest things. Your sleep schedule, the food you put in your mouth, the words you speak, your knee-jerk reactions, your destructive habits. Every time you say, just this once, to binge eating, endless scrolling, procrastinating work, you're cutting into your own dignity. So how do you build self-control? Step 1. Define your core principles. What do you live for? What values are non-negotiable? If you're unclear about that, you'll always be pulled by the right now. The Stoic lives by an inner compass, unchanging no matter how chaotic the world gets. They don't live by moods, they live by principle. Step 2. Pause before acting. Sounds simple, but it's one of the most powerful skills most men don't have. When you're provoked, pause. When you feel temptation, pause. When you want to delay, pause. Just 5 seconds. Let reason enter. Ask, does this serve my long-term mission? If not, cut it. No debate, no compromise, no indulgence. Step 3. Use habit as your weapon against impulse. Don't rely on willpower. It'll betray you when you're tired. Build habits as an automatic system. Wake up at the same time. Eat clean. Train consistently. Journal every night. When your habits are strong enough, you don't need to try. You just follow the program. Step 4. Punish yourself when you break discipline. Don't be so quick to forgive yourself. Every failure to control yourself must come with a cost. Skip a meal, no phone for 24 hours. Donate to a cause you hate. Force yourself to pay, to learn to respect your own rules. Finally, reflect. Every night, write down, what did I control well today? Where did I lose discipline? What will I fix tomorrow? Discipline isn't born from morning promises. It's forged in honest, nightly accountability. A man who cannot control himself is the easiest man to manipulate. Society will control him with marketing. Others will control him with emotion. Temptation will lead him like a puppet. And one day he'll look back and realize he never actually lived by his own will, only by whatever was stronger than his self-mastery. Self-control is the foundation of freedom. If you can't rule yourself, don't expect to rule your life. The moment they hear the word acceptance, most men instinctively recoil. I'm not weak enough to give up. And it's exactly that misunderstanding that keeps them fighting hopeless battles against the past that's already happened, the person who's already left, the door that's already closed. They wrestle with what can't be changed and then complain that life is unfair. Here's the truth. Not everything in life is within your control. And no, that doesn't make you a victim. It makes you awake. The Stoics didn't deny pain, loss, or adversity. They simply refused to let those things control them. They drew a clear line between two domains. What is within my power, my actions, my responses, my choices. What is outside my control, the weather, other people, illness, death. The fool fights in the second domain. The wise man focuses all his strength on the first. You were betrayed. You can't erase that. But you can choose how to respond, become bitter or grow stronger. You were rejected. You can't force someone to change, but you can become sharper, more valuable. You lost someone you love. You can't bring them back, but you can live a life they'd be proud of. That is Stoic acceptance, not giving up, but stopping the waste of energy on things you can't steer so you can channel every ounce of your will into the things you can. So how do you train for this? First, write it down. Is this within my control? This is the question you must ask yourself every time you feel angry, disappointed, or tempted to escape reality. If it's outside your control, stop whining. If it's within, act. No hesitation. No excuses. Second, practice negative visualization, premeditation malorum. Every morning, spend a few minutes imagining the worst-case scenarios. Losing your job, being misunderstood, getting rejected, suffering great loss. Not to invite fear, but to prepare your mind. Once you've lived through that hardship in your head, you won't panic when it comes. You'll be calm, clear, and composed. Third, practice gratitude for adversity. Each night, write this. What happened today that I didn't want, but helped me grow? This is how you reframe pain. Not everything that happens is good, but everything that happens can become useful if you choose the right perspective. Finally, shrink your ego. You are not the center of the universe, and the world owes you nothing. Realizing that doesn't make you small, it makes you stronger, because you start acting like a part of something bigger. When you understand that everything is temporary, uncertain, and never truly yours, You'll appreciate more, stay calmer, and endure longer. Acceptance is refusing to let life drive you mad over things you cannot change. Acceptance is the art of clarity, not weakness. The man who doesn't know how to accept will stay trapped in rage, blame, and self-destruction. The man who does accept will move with sharp calm and win, even in loss. You were told, don't hide your emotions, be true to them. Sounds good, but if you live fully by your emotions, you'll destroy your life. You get angry, you explode, you feel sad, you give up, you're scared, you run, and you call that living authentically? No, you're just being controlled by your emotions without even realizing it. A weak man isn't someone who feels. He's someone who doesn't know which emotion is driving him. The Stoic doesn't deny emotion, but he doesn't let it make decisions. He doesn't let mood dictate behavior. He doesn't let anxiety stall progress. He acts from principle, not from mood. Emotional agility is a strategic weapon. You recognize, manage, transform, and rise above emotion to stay on course. It's not rigid numbness, and it's not fragile sensitivity. It's the ability to stand in the storm and still choose what's right, even when your mind is chaos. So how do you train it? First, develop the ability to identify emotions early. Most people only realize they've been hijacked by emotions after they've already wrecked something: a conversation, a relationship, an opportunity. Morning emotional journaling is your internal radar system. Just 5 minutes to ask, what am I feeling? Why? How will this affect my behavior today? When you name the emotion, you begin to control it before it controls you. Second, step out of your comfort zone to increase emotional endurance. You fear rejection? Start by asking uncomfortable questions on purpose. You get angry easily? Practice waiting longer on purpose. You panic easily? Take cold showers every morning. Every time you enter discomfort by choice, you expand your emotional threshold, like a fighter learning to take hits without flinching every time he steps into the ring. Third, create distance between yourself and your emotions before reacting. Train yourself to say, I'm experiencing an emotion, but I am not that emotion. Instead of I'm angry, say I'm feeling anger. That one sentence separates you from the impulse. You're no longer the victim, you're the observer. And the observer always has options. Fourth, learn to act opposite your emotions when necessary. You feel low, but still finish your work. You're afraid, but still step onto the stage. You're stressed, but still speak the truth. This is the peak of emotional agility, when you don't need to feel good to do what's right. Lastly, build unshakable behavioral principles. When emotions flare, you need an anchor, a version of yourself that's rational, clear, and unmoved. Write down in advance how you'll respond in stressful moments, when insulted, rejected, misunderstood. So when the emotion hits, you don't need to think, you just act on the blueprint you already wrote. A man without emotional agility gets ripped away from his values by his feelings. On a good day, he's disciplined. On a bad day, he throws it all out. That's not strength, it's slavery dressed up as authenticity. Emotional agility is the ability to turn inner chaos into internal order. It's not letting emotions pull the strings, but it's also not pretending to be numb. It's what makes you dangerous in silence and formidable in any situation. Most men live with a dangerous illusion. If I try hard enough, everything will go according to plan. But the truth is, you can do everything right and still fail. You can be genuine and still get betrayed. You can give it your all and still not get the result you hoped for. And if your identity is tied to the outcome, you'll collapse the moment life doesn't go your way. The Stoic doesn't cling to results. He clings to right action. Detaching from the outcome doesn't mean apathy or whatever happens, happens. No, it means this: I will do everything I can with full integrity, with full effort, and I will accept the result as a natural part of life. You can control your behavior, but you will never fully control the outcome, because outcomes always involve forces beyond you: other people, markets, timing, randomness. If your life revolves around outcomes, disappointment will follow you like a shadow. And from that disappointment, you'll become bitter, cynical, passive, or worse, toxic. But when you detach from the result, you become free. No more fear of failure, No more dread of rejection, no more obsession with being validated. You enter action like a warrior, calm, sharp, and dangerous, not because you need to win to prove your worth, but because your worth is already intact. So how do you train this? Step 1. Draw a clear line between your part and the world's part. Before you begin anything, business, training, learning a skill, building a relationship, define the boundary. I will do A, B, and C. If result X happens, great. If not, I'm still whole. This doesn't kill motivation, it kills obsession. Step 2. Obsess over the process. Measure success by the consistency of your effort, not the sweetness of the result. Did you train today? Did you say what needed to be said? Did you face it instead of running? If yes, you're winning, even if someone else says you're failing. Step 3. Practice the view from above. Every time negative emotion creeps in from a disappointing outcome, imagine yourself from above, a dot in the city, in the country, on the planet. Does that outcome still feel massive? The answer isn't no as an escape, but as a reminder of scale. You are not the center of the universe, and that realization will set you free. Step 4. Anchor your actions in character, not in expectation. You don't work hard to be praised. You do it because you're disciplined. You don't keep your word because you fear criticism. You do it because you're honorable. When your actions come from who you are, not what you want, you become psychologically unbreakable. Finally, when results disappoint, reflect. Don't judge. Ask, what did I learn? Did I handle my part well? What will I adjust next time? Don't define yourself by a single result. Measure yourself by your consistency in honoring your principles. That's the real foundation of self-respect. Detachment from outcome doesn't make you less serious. It makes you sharper, stronger, and impossible to crush. The more you cling, the more fragile you become. But when you walk into battle with no fear of losing, that's when you become the kind of man no one dares to underestimate. It's not hard to accept a victory. It's not hard to love a sunny day, a compliment, an open opportunity. But can you love failure? Love pain? Love the part of your life that broke you? If not, you haven't understood Amor Fati. Amor Fati, love your fate, is not a pretty quote to hang on a wall. It's a life or death commitment. Whatever comes my way, I won't just endure it, I will embrace it as something essential to my growth. You were betrayed? That's a lesson in trust and boundaries. You got fired? That's the moment forcing you to redefine yourself. You gave everything you had and still failed? That's when you build a level of resilience nothing else can teach. Amor Fati doesn't say everything that happens is good. It says everything that happens can become good, if you know how to use it. The Stoics didn't seek adversity, but when it arrived, they embraced it as part of the path. No complaints, no escape, no labeling it unfair. And don't confuse Amor Fati with resignation. Resignation is when you have no choice. Amor Fati is the active choice to love even the parts of life no one wants. Because they understand, without hardship, no depth. Without loss, no meaning. Without challenge, no reason to train. So how do you train Amor Fati in the real world? First step, rewrite your life story as a hero, not a victim. You are not someone hurt by your parents, by society, by past mistakes. You are someone who went through all that and still gets up every day. Rewrite your story like this. Because that happened, I learned, I became. When you turn your pain into raw training material, you take back your power. Second step, train yourself to see life as a deliberate work of art. Imagine your life is a movie, and you are the main character. A movie with no conflict and no pain is just boring. Every event, no matter how painful, is a necessary chapter for you to rise. Ask, if I were the author of this story, why would I write this scene in? That answer gives you a reason not to collapse. Third step, thank adversity every day. Yes, thank it. Write down what happened today that made me uncomfortable, and what did it train inside me. From there, you'll begin to appreciate even the things you used to hate. When you turn gratitude into a reflex in the face of hardship, you stop trembling every time it shows up. Final step, live as if you chose this life. Every scar, every failure, every pain. That's the Stoic declaration. I didn't choose everything that happened, but I choose to respond as if I did, and through that, I take control of my fate. Amor Fati is the pinnacle of a steel mind. when you no longer need life to be gentle with you because you've trained yourself to walk through anything without losing your way. It's not the belief that everything will be okay, it's the belief that no matter what happens, I will be. You can be smart, talented, even have moments of brilliance. But if you lack perseverance, none of it matters. Because life doesn't reward those who start strong. It only rewards those who don't quit. The problem is, most men give up the moment things get hard. Not because they lack ability, but because they lack mental endurance. Perseverance isn't glamorous. It doesn't get applause. It doesn't get posted on social media. Perseverance is when you wake up tired and still do the right thing, even when no one sees. It's when you have no motivation, no inspiration, no cheering crowd, but you keep going because you've chosen to become a man of discipline. The Stoics didn't follow emotion, they followed principle. And principles take time and iron commitment. No one forges steel in 3 days. No one builds a resilient soul from a few motivational quotes online. You have to repeat, repeat, and repeat, until you're no longer the one who needs encouragement, but the one who creates momentum from sheer grit. But perseverance doesn't stand alone. It needs reflection to keep from becoming foolish. Reflection is the act of mentally holding up a mirror every day. It's when you stop and ask, did I live by my principles today? What did I do that made me proud? What made me ashamed? What will I correct tomorrow? Without reflection, you'll keep going without realizing you've veered off course. You'll persist toward the wrong goal. You'll be stubborn, not steadfast. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the Roman Empire, reflected every night before sleep. He rewrote himself with questions, with truth, with discipline. Not to punish himself, but to make sure he didn't get pulled away from his core values by the day's distractions. You need a simple but strict system of reflection. What did I do right today? Where did I slack off today? Am I getting closer to or further from the man I want to become? What will I correct tomorrow? Write it down every night. Don't just think it. Don't say it in your head. Write it, because writing turns ambiguity into commitment. Also, find a community, or at least one person, to keep you accountable. Don't walk this path alone forever. Even a warrior needs a fellow warrior. They don't have to inspire you. Just be someone you respect enough not to want to break your word in front of. When your will falters, you'll need someone to bring you back to your principles, not coddle you into quitting. Seneca, one of the Stoic masters, was exiled, disgraced, faced with death. But he used that time to write, to reflect, to turn suffering into wisdom, and to live as if no one, not even an emperor, could take his dignity. And he left behind a legacy that still commands silence 2,000 years later. So can you. You may start in chaos, but if you persevere and you reflect, then day by day, you will become something formidable, a man who can't be easily broken, manipulated, or forgotten. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.